Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, this is another Marvel movie review. Today we're tackling the penultimate film in the MCU Phase 1, Captain America 1, or Captain America the First Avenger. Now, again, have it on DVD. I did watch it on Disney Plus for, better quality, so I just thought I'd show you that I have it. I gotta get it on Blu-ray. But look, this is obviously the weakest of the Captain America trilogy, right? Out of First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War. But that's not to say this is a bad movie. This is a good freaking movie. Compare it again to Iron Man 1, Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Thor. This is up there with, Iron Man 1 and Thor in terms of top tier Phase 1. I really love Iron Man 2 and I enjoy Incredible Hulk. But this film has a lot of good things going for it. One, I think Chris Evans is a great actor, maybe not a great person for a lot of reasons. I don't know, maybe depending on how you swing, I guess. American-wise, speaking of Captain America, but he's a really good actor and he really fits the bill for Captain America quite well in this MCU world. It is really cool to see how he ends up in the MCU versus what actually happened in this first film. Haley Atwell, Peggy Carter, she's great. James Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan, everyone's good in this movie, right? Even Johann Schmidt, freaking Hugo Weaving as Red Skull. And I know Hugo Weaving's like, oh, I don't like it, it sucks, but whatever. He did a good job. I think he's a good villain in this. Now, I guess the beginning of the movie, I guess I should say, a lot of the parts of the movie feel kind of disjointed. Of course, Joe Johnston, or Johnson, I think it's Johnston, he directed this film, and he did stuff like The Rocketeer, and I think he did Jurassic Park 3, which is my least favorite in the 6 Jurassic era film, but, I don't hate it, but it is what it is. But I do think that this is a very well-shot film. There's a lot of great action scenes, but in terms of the tone, it seems a bit off. There's certain scenes where they're doing the crazy, the cool, they got the women out, and they're doing all the dancing, and it's like 1940s peak American marketing, buy war bonds, and all the hot ladies are dancing, it's just crazy, like orchestra, big band type music, and you got Captain America kind of, punching Hitler, and it's all fake, his fist is like, whoo, like that. And then you have moments where, a guy rips his freaking face skin off, and it's like a charred, red, bloody face. And then you have, a guy, Captain America beating and shooting people. And then you have, those crazy explosions and action scenes and people getting vaporized by guns. And then, a guy is fighting with Captain America on a freaking plane, and he gets sucked into the rotors, and you see a bunch of, blood everywhere. It's tonally really weird, And that's not really so much of a negative, because, it takes place during World War II, and that's how it was. Of course, I didn't live back then, but I'm assuming, since 100% of freaking media tells me that's how it was back then, They had the dancing, they had the crazy music and all that, so balancing that actually works. But it is quite funny because it's probably the goriest and probably the most brutal of the entire Phase 1. Like I said, there's a lot of, people get shot, there's squibs and there's blood, and, that guy with the helicopter thing, it really pushes the boundaries for Marvel. And Marvel's not a child-friendly, kid-friendly franchise, but especially the MCU. This one really is violent and gory at times, for PG-13. And having that kind of, transcendent, that, oh, okay, we're dancing and we're having fun, and there's montages of him, exploding, and there's he rides on a freaking motorbike and there's an explosion behind him, and just some of the editing, I guess, is a bit weird, a bit cheesy, if I say. It's not cheesy as in the Incredible Hulk cheesy, where it's bad cheesy. It's cheesy in a good way because it actually makes sense to the time period and how they would edit and how that works. You know what I mean? So it's not a bad thing. It's just something I noticed. And I always kind of noticed it. But, just take that into, I guess, consideration. But other than that, man, the movie is freaking awesome. It really stands in terms of a solo story of Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? He begins as a scrawny dude. And he, really transcends. He transcends time. He literally, I guess he does that too. He literally becomes actually Captain America in this film. And you see that character development of him. All he wants to do is fight. But because he's not only a good soldier, he's really not. In the beginning, he's a good person. That's why they gave him the power. Of course, Johann Schmidt was a pretty effed up person. He got a pretty effed up face. You get Steve Rogers, who's a pretty good person. And, it turns out that it just amplifies his powers to use them for good. And we see that kind of happening at, at the end of the film with all this stuff going on. And, with the plane and all that in the Antarctic or wherever he lands. And it's really cool to see, because I know what happens next, obviously. But knowing in this film how he went from, point A to point B, or even point A to point Z, it's very much apparent that, you know, this is a character that a lot of people love in the comics, and they really did him justice in this film. Captain America is by far one of the best characters in the entire MCU, bar none, you know what I mean? Almost bar none, you know? I think, like, people go, oh, Thor's boring, let's make him funny. Notice how they didn't make Captain America funny. And I'm not saying Thor's a bad or boring character, because in my opinion he's not, and I love Thor 1. But this film had a lot more action, a lot more story, and just a lot more oomph to it than Thor 1, or, you know, really any of the Marvel movies. You know, it just felt, it feels different, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the newer Marvel movies, you go, oh, okay, every character has to have quips, and then they have to do this. It's like a freaking checkbox, you know? Back in Phase 1, it was, you know, Iron Man 1 is completely different in a way to Captain America 1, or Hulk 1, or even Iron Man 2. You know, it's really cool that every movie in this Phase 1 so far, of course the last one I have is the Avengers one, but it's a very, like I said, it's totally different than the other movies, and that's what really makes it stand out, you know. Captain America 1 is also not like the Winter Soldier or Civil War. It's completely different in a lot of ways, and I think that's really cool. But overall, the CGI is good. I really didn't notice any bad effects. I think that, you know, so most of it's practical, but a lot of it, of course, is CGI, especially toward the end. I think Dum Dum Dugan, he's basically Fat Captain Price from Modern Warfare. I think he's a pretty cool character. He's, I don't know, I want to see a mini-series of the Howling Commandos. That'd be kind of cool. But I think it is really unique to see all these characters and, you know, kind of a World War II movie with the Marvel spin on it, you know. Yes, there's World War II themes that actually happen. Like I said, the music, the marketing, the ladies, you know, the men fighting, all that stuff, right? But then you have, like, oh, Red Skull's there and Hydra's there. You know, they're doing this. And they got the freaking laser guns and they're blasting everyone and, like, disintegrating them. That's the Marvel side, but it doesn't seem silly because they make it even, you know, I think I mentioned this in my Thor review. They made Thor a grounded god, so to speak. You know, they made him a good, grounded character. You know, I never once was like, oh, God, Thor? He's got a hammer and a cape, what a loser! You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, this is a good character. Same with this, you know, everything, yeah, it's crazy to have laser guns in World War II, but because it's well made and well written and well directed, well acted, all that, it really makes you go, wow, okay, I believe this. I believe that, you know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this actually happened, and it's not goofy or campy or cringy. It's actually well made. And as far as negatives, I really can't think of too many. I think, you know, there's one or two cheesy shots, like I said, of, you know, him on a motorbike and there's an explosion behind him. And it's not a you know, World War II marketing, I guess, transition scene, you know, where they kind of bump it from, oh, he's in Switzerland, he's in New York, he's in Philadelphia, he's in New Jersey, you know. It's not like that. It's like a hardcore, badass action scene. You know, he's killing guys, throwing the shield, they're shooting them up. And they make those action scenes, as well shot and cool as they look, a bit unrealistic compared to, you know, a traditional action fight scene. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if they had, like, the Winter Soldier or Civil War and Captain America's on a freaking bike and everything's slow motion and there's explosions. You know, it's cool looking, but it does feel a little bit contrived compared to, you know, I think Joe Johnston was like, oh, let's make the World War II, you know, scenes fun and you know, reflective of the time. But then he also tried to make some, not all, some of the action scenes like that as well, in kind of montage-esque form. And yeah, it looks freaking badass as all heck. You know, there's explosions and they're shooting everyone and they're throwing the shield and he's cool, he's punching guys. But at the same time, you know, it doesn't quite transcend as much, there's that word again, as to, you know, like I said, like a World War II marketing montage moment, which was, you know, early in the film. So that's really an only negative, I think. You know, there's not really any cheesy lines, none of the bad acting, none of the bad CGI that really made it stand out. It was really just kind of the editing in a few montage scenes that kind of felt a bit out of place for what was going on screen. But I did enjoy it. You know, it's weird. It made the action scenes, like, fun. And, you know, I mean, the action scenes are fun to watch, but it made the action scene, like, tonally fun. You know, it was like, oh, we're having fun here, you know, montage, explosions, it's cool, but, like, he's murdering people. You know, they're killing people. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be shot as just, like, montage or, you know, happiness. It's like, it's war, you know what I mean? Don't show it in that kind of form. So that's my only real issue. It only happens, like, once or twice. Not a big deal. But I really enjoyed the first Avenger. I think it really has a good moment. You know, if they were just going to end his character and just kill him in the ice in that plane crash, I would have been pissed, and so would have everyone else. But in terms of a film, it really does wrap up a really good character arc from where he starts in the beginning of the movie. And I think it's really cool to see that they have, again, these World War II traditional elements mixed with the Marvel Hail Hydra stuff, it really fits. And again, Hydra, of course, we know plays a big role in the MCU going forward. So it's really cool to see them begin here and just kind of see what happens, with the whole Nazi thing and all that. So it's a really good movie. I think it is the weakest of the three. But that being said, I do enjoy it. I think looking back at it upon rewatching it for the first time in HD, by the way, because again, I only had it on DVD before. I never saw it on Blu-ray. I don't have it on Blu-ray, obviously. Never saw it in HD. So that was really cool to see. A lot of the colors popped up. It was very more vibrant than 480, whatever the hell that is, DVD quality. So it is very good to see. It looks great. It holds up for the most part. Nothing really noteworthy, horrible in this film. I enjoyed it. It's got a simplicity feel to it that, a lot of the other Marvel movies don't, because now, we're at this stage where it's like, oh, there's all this multiverse shite going on. We got Thanos. It's like back in the day, it was like Iron Man 1. He flies. That's it. And I know there's stuff that happens, but it's more of a simple plot. Hulk, more simple. Captain America, the First Avenger, more simple. It's just him. And, we lay the groundwork for Bucky. We get Red Skull. Red Skull doesn't die. Of course, he gets a Vormir or whatever he goes. But it is really cool to see that, it's a simple plot in reasoning, but execution, it's very well done. And it doesn't feel simple. But comparing this plot to, say Captain America Civil War, where you got Wanda and Vision, you got all these new characters, all these arcs, all these, Peggy's dead, all these crazy things that happen. This is just, I know, obviously, right? It's one of the first Marvel movies made in the MCU, but it does have that, again, simple kind of, boom, bam kind of quality. We're done, and there we go. Capiche, But it does work in terms of its simplicity. And not to say that's a bad thing. Simple doesn't mean bad. I just mean that it's not full of crazy effing action, and there's, there's a million plot threads and, all this stuff going on. It really was just more of a, I don't want to say simple again, but kind of a by-the-books plot. If you will. Nothing extraordinarily crazy happens in terms of, oh my god, there's not like a billion fan theories on who's a Skrull. You know what I'm saying? It's just a straightforward action film that leads on to more films, and that's really cool that, the MCU can do that. So I'm going to give Captain America, the First Avenger, an A, probably an A, we'll give it an A-, only because those montage scenes kind of were a bit cringy, you know what I mean? And not the, I'm talking about the action scene montages, because again, Joe Johnston really tried to make it seem cool, and it does look cool. I'm not complaining, the shots are great, it looks fine, it looks great, but it does have that kind of cheesy World War II marketing era vibe that, they were doing before, which worked because that's what they were doing. They were marketing war bonds, and it's more of a lighthearted scene. And I think transcending, I keep using the word transcending in this video. They keep using that style of filmmaking in the action. That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's really about it. I think Captain America: The First Avenger is a very good Marvel film, and I loved rewatching it. And it really does hold up. I think every Marvel movie except maybe like The Incredible Hulk holds up to this day. I think. Again, I don't hate that film, but it is probably the worst MCU film out there. But I do really love it. For what it was, and I love this film for what it is too. Again, Captain America: The First Avenger, A-. Tell me in the comments down below what you thought about this first film. And so far, out of Iron Man 2, Hulk, Thor, Captain America: The First Avenger, what is your favorite Marvel movie so far? And next video, guys, we're going to be ending off Phase 1 with Marvel's The Avengers, or Avengers 1. And again, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Before I start Phase 2 with Iron Man 3, I'm going to be watching the Harry Potter films. Again, you guys probably know this already, but I'm going to Universal. And I want to, I have to, my uncle gave me an assignment. He said, watch all the Harry Potter movies. So I said, all right, I'll get on that. So I got to get on that. But, tell me in the comments down below if you want me to review Harry Potter. I'm pretty sure I already did. But, hey, it's free content. And, speaking of free, subscribing is also free. So, hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And you can tell me down below what you thought of Captain America: The First Avenger. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.